The new Earn Challenge has come out with the latest update news that we have for World of Tanks console, and we're going to cover what this premium tank is, how you get it, and of course some of the other news that came out with this week's update news. So kicking it straight off, the new free tank that you can actually pick up is the STA-2, which is the Japanese tier 8 medium tank that is surprisingly good, and I think a lot of people don't actually give it as much credit as it probably is worth. And there is a full video on the tank that we did recently, and so you guys can go and check that out if you're interested, and I will link it in the description below at the end of this video as well. And also we'll cover the typical statistics of the tank in this video, so you know whether or not it's actually worth grinding towards this as part of the operation. But first things first, the Senshi STA-2, this is a skinned version of the premium tank. They are literally the exact same, except this one gets a skin or camo as you want to call it, that essentially allow you to have permanent camo. And in order to actually complete it, it is your typical XP operation, earn operation, and essentially what you'll need to do is complete a total of 95,000 XP in order to pick up this vehicle. If you already have the vehicle, you will get rewarded with 3.28 million silver instead, which is a nice little addition if you are wanting just to get a little bit of silver, which is what I will be definitely doing since we already own this vehicle. But the Senshi STA-2, this tank actually has a really cool looking skin. It's this green and black and kind of white style of skin with some grey in there. And it has a giant Japanese flag that's draped over the back end of the turret, which looks cool as well. There's no top down of this, unfortunately, so I can't actually showcase it to you on the article. But it looks really, really cool in game, and it feels really nice to play as well. Now, why is that? Well, this is because this tank has a 240 alpha damage main armament that also has some pretty good DPM with a rate of fire of 8.45 rounds a minute as its base value. What does that mean? Well, it means it has 2,000 base damage per minute on this tank, which when you're actually using it with all of the modifications that you can put on, things like advanced reload, if you're using all of the skills and perks or whatever you want to call the commander perks, they give you an additional 10% if you're using rapid loading. And then with the Brothers in Arms perk, you're increasing it even further. Things like ventilation are going to boost it up even more, and you're in the region of about 2,600 DPM when you're using this thing, which for a tier 8 medium is actually pretty good. And the good thing as well, when you combine that with the fact that this tank's penetration values are pretty good as well, with 212 on the standard rounds, which is pretty consistent with a lot of the tier 8 mediums, and then of course if you do decide with the premium tank to load premium ammunition, which you're going to make money off of, you will be essentially having 275 premium heat round penetration, which is amazing. And essentially you can go through most tanks at tier 9 and almost most tanks at tier 10 as well with 275 pen. So things like E100s, Mauses, realistically you can pen them quite easily with the heat rounds of this thing, so you don't really have to worry a whole lot when it comes to higher tier vehicles when you're playing the Senshi STA-2, which is unlike some of the other mediums where you feel like when you do get into those bottom tier matchups that you're going to have to do something a little bit different, whereas this tank really doesn't have to do that. Of course, with this tank it goes 55 kilometers an hour, which is pretty good. You're able to move around the map and it feels very, very flexible. You have a big opportunity to move around the map, to outflank opponents, to support another flank, which maybe you've committed to one flank, realize that your team are probably going to win this one but the other flank are going to lose it. You can turn and change direction to go and support them, and that's going to yield you some amazing results alongside actually being able to do it, where if you're in a heavy tank or a medium that's slightly slower, that does about 40, it's a lot more of a laborious task to actually go and change flanks. So this one feels really nice to be able to do it, and I can't kind of show you guys enough how nice it is to be able to do this in the games. And in fact, this is one of the biggest ways that you can kind of learn and develop as a player. It's often actually positioning when it comes to the later stage game and how you get your experience that's actually going to be able to boost your games from being, a 52% win rate player all the way up to 60%. It's literally just a case of how do you react to the games that are going to be shown to you, and then kind of move on from there. But with 240 alpha damage, this tank feels really quite in that sweet spot where your reload is very short, but you're also dealing a decent amount of damage, which allow you then to both retrack opponents, get a tracked assist, as well as having pretty decent view range to get actual assistance damage from spotting, especially when you're using advanced optics, which I highly recommend to actually try out when you're using the STA2, because you'll be able to get actual damage and assistance, and this tank does a really good job of both. You don't have the most amount of hit points, 1420, but it's not the worst in the world for a tier 8. You just have to be careful of those high alpha tank destroyers. And the camo when you're actually moving and still is not the best, but it is a pretty large vehicle compared to maybe some of the smaller profile tanks, but it's not gigantic. It's certainly on that sort of larger medium style vehicle, but it's in the average kind of range. It's not gigantic, it's not tiny, and so that's why your detectability range or your camo is not as good, but it's still pretty good indeed. Now with that, you kind of have to use this tank in a way where either you go for a camo build with good DPM, or you go for a good DPM and movement build where you can move even faster around the map to make it just that little bit better. This tank gets 10 degrees of gun depression as well, which make it able to be using ridge lines and kind of getting into a lot of flexible positions. The tank is extremely flexible. No matter what you want to do, you're probably able to do it, except from use armor, because this tank has absolutely no armor, and even if you are using this in a hold down location, getting only your turret shown, they can go through the front of the turret of the STA2, which of course is not ideal, but at the same time, this is a medium tank that isn't relying on its armor, and you definitely shouldn't be playing it in that sort of way. But either way, armor does suck on this tank, so if you don't like using soft vehicles, then this one is probably not for you. But at the same time, if you do want to pick it up, it's a free premium tank that I think everyone should actually go ahead and get. Now, in terms of actually being able to complete the operation, what do you get other than just the fact of the tank and how much XP in total we're going to need? Well, 95,000 XP, as we said earlier, is what you're going to need, but along the way you'll get repair kits, premium repair kits, and fire suppressors, enhanced med kits, etc. You'll also get some flags that you can put on your tank if you're interested, some ×2 vehicle XP boosters, inscriptions, emblems. You'll also get some commander XP boosters, you'll get premium rations, and you'll also get a couple of specific style emblems that come to like Japan, which is a Torii gate here. And then we've got the STA2 as the 95,000 XP, which I actually think is a pretty reasonable amount. This is a lot less than what we've seen in the past with some of the operations, and probably more of a everyone is going to be able to get it if you play somewhat casually towards more regularly, I guess. And that's because this event is lasting over 3 weeks. So it's from the 2nd of April all the way up to the 23rd of April. So hopefully you will be able to pick it up. It's 3 weeks, 90,000 or 95,000 XP. So you're looking at 31 or 32,000 XP per week. It's just slightly under that, 90 or 31.3333 blah blah blah, or 31.66 even. Either way, it's not a lot of XP. So with that being said, it should be pretty decent to be able to actually pick this one up for free. And so it should be about 30 games in a week, which is about, if you're playing every single day, about 4 games a day, and depending on how much XP you get in each of those games, if you're playing ×2 XP vehicles, so if you're playing not necessarily each one individually for 5 games every time, but if you're playing 5 different tanks for a double on the daily win, then you should get this even faster. And if you've got premium time, you should get it faster. If you've got XP boosters, you'll get it even faster. And that's kind of how these operations work. And so make sure that if you are playing and you don't think you're going to have the time, just make sure that you are playing all of the advantages to get through this as fast as possible, and don't go grinding just one vehicle constantly throughout the entire thing, as you're not going to get as much XP towards the operation. But with that out of the way, Senshi STA2 rating out of 10, it's probably a solid 7 out of 10 to a 6.5. If 5 is average, this one is slightly above average for a medium tank that actually can be quite fun, and I think fun is something that's great, and it will also teach you quite a lot about how to play medium tanks that have no armor, so I think it's a good kind of starting point for learning a bit more nuanced medium tanks in the game. But other than that, what else do we have for this week? Well, there are a couple of things that we can talk about, and that is that there are the there's two new / returning things that we've got coming into the game. So we have the Fury and War Daddy returning into the game, which for those of you that don't know, Fury being from the Fury movie, which is of course a tank movie, or specifically a tank movie, I believe it had Brad Pitt in it. But either way, featuring as War Daddy, who is the commander, the Fury tank is the M4 Sherman, or a variant of the M4 Sherman that in essence has a Fury skin on it, and you can purchase it at tier 6 for a reasonable price, I believe. I think it's probably like 4,000 to 5,000 gold or something like that. It is a tier 6, and I have no idea what the pricing is actually going to be on this tank. It is a licensed vehicle, so the reason why we haven't been able to pick this thing up in years and years and years is that it was a licensed vehicle, and so in order for them to sell the tank, they needed the license, I would assume, to be able to sell it, which is why maybe they've been able to pick that one up recently and be able to sell it again, which is brilliant. So if you are interested in a pretty limited vehicle, and not many of them are around at the moment, with it being so long since the previous release of the Fury, then yeah, you'll be able to actually pick it up, try it out, and give it a go yourself. But the Fury and War Daddy are returning, which is brilliant. I mean, it's cool to have a old tier 6 premium tank back in the game alongside a new commander / old commander, if you get what I mean. You'll be able to pick up another variant of War Daddy if you already own one, or if you don't, you'll be able to get it as well. Of course, the Senshi STA2 is also there. We've got the Bully Challenge and an Honor Roll Challenge as well, whereby I'm assuming it's just similar to what String Theory is, whereby you just keep doing certain amount of damage every game, or keep winning so many games in a row, and you're going to get some boosters. Of course, we've seen recently with the win condition one, where essentially you can get up to 5 times silver on the daily games, and you can do that once per day. You get up to 5 times silver, you get 3 times, 4 times silver, which has been amazing for earning millions of silver every single day, and I've been using it myself, playing some of the premium Cold War vehicles to be able to get those couple of first wins, and then use that silver to do whatever I want with it, kitting out tanks, putting equipment, buying new tanks, that sort of stuff. It's been really nice to have, and I like those sorts of operations. Deals of the week, we've got ×3 XP boosters and the Alt Proto AMX 40 or 30 even. The ×3 XP boosters, these are something that, from my personal standpoint, if you want to save yourself a ton of time and you have the money laying around that you're not going to do anything with, and you're thinking, I don't mind spending a tenner or £15 on the game, or $20 or whatever it is in your own country, and you have the money laying around, these are something that can save you a ton of time, and they are worth it in that regard. The only difference is that these things, they are essentially a condition, a no condition. So whenever you use them, they are used. If you have a terrible game and you get 100 XP base, you will only get 300 XP. It doesn't matter whether you win or whether you lose, they're used every single time that you apply them. Whereas in other games, you might see them only used when you have a win condition, therefore guaranteeing you at least a little bit of XP than what you normally would get. So just be aware that they are used on every single battle when you do apply them. But for me, I really do find that they're super handy. They allow me to grind through tanks very quickly. But would I say for the average player to actually pick them up and use them? I don't know. I think they're probably more so a thing where you're more experienced at the game, that you could probably use these to be able to grind through some of those annoying tech tree lines that you just don't really want to play, but you're doing it because you just want all of the tanks. I'm looking at you, Japanese Type 5. But either way, these are just some of those things that I think more experienced players are going to use. You'll get more XP as a more experienced player, and as a less experienced player, you want to actually be playing the lower tiers, because typically you're going to learn going through all of the tech tree line, and you'll have less experience when you get to the higher tiers, which you probably don't want to be at, because you'll be playing all of the people that have spent that time going through the tank line. So just avoid it, really, is my consensus as a new player, unless you already know how to play World of Tanks properly. Yeah, it's just one of those additional things. And also there are times 5 XP boosters as well, so these are something that I'd rather pay for, because essentially if I'm going to pay something, I might as well get the best version of it and save myself that time all in one small stint, as opposed to having a longer stint where it's not saving you as much time and you're still paying for it anyway. So that's kind of my opinion on XP boosters. I thought I'd go into it just so you guys got an idea of what they do and whether or not they're actually worth it, and for what type of players they are actually worth it for. Either way, the wallet savers, so we've got a couple of tanks that are available on sale this week. They come in the form of the 112, the T26E5, and the FE214 Conqueror Mark II. Now, the 112 is a pretty mediocre tank. It's a tier 8 medium Chinese vehicle that is so old that probably isn't very good now, and it's been a long time since I've even played this thing. I don't think it's going to be good. It wasn't great back in the day. Yeah, I probably wouldn't get this one. The T26E5, or the Patriot, I believe it's called. This tank is actually pretty good. It's like a medium tank that's combined a heavy tank that has a really good strong turret with a good amount of gun depression. It's a good tank. It is nice. And it's down to you whether you want to spend your money on it. It will be on a discount. It's probably 30% discount, I believe. So make of that what you will, and whether you want to actually get it. And then the FE214 Conqueror. This is the Cold War Conqueror that you can pick up. And it was, when it was first introduced, absolutely garbage. I think then they did a couple of buffs to it, but it's still not great. And I don't think I would ever recommend people purchasing this vehicle in the game. So with that out of the way, super savings are also here. So these are the things that give you the 50% discount on things. This comes with the Aggressive Scout loadout, which features advanced optics, loader, and ventilation. So if you were going to buy silver and you wanted these exact equipment slots, then with that silver, then it might be worth it. But that's only if you're purchasing silver and buying equipment. For me, personally, I'd rather play 3 to 4 games in Cold War with some XP boosters to be able to get the same amount of money for a lot less of a price, because essentially what they do is they take the base gold value, convert it into, or the base silver value of each piece of equipment, they convert it into the gold equivalent to purchase that equipment, and then give you a discount of 30% off of that total gold value. And often it would just be better for you to play Cold War with some XP boosters that you've bought, or silver boosters that you've bought even, and you would have made more money most likely in the same amount of gold value than you would if you bought the silver to buy the golden equipment, and it would be considerably more as well, and that's just my opinion. But of course, make of that what you will. I would never ever really recommend buying equipment in the game with gold. It just doesn't really make sense, and it's not too difficult to get the silver to buy equipment anyway, if you are using your money to be able to get silver boosters and playing with premium time and playing Cold War premium vehicles that we get for free from most of the seasons anyway. So just do that. It's going to save you a lot of money in the long run. Then we've got the 60 TP skin. This is on sale as well, so this will be 50% discount. I believe all of this should be 50% discount for the super savings from my memory. So yeah, that would be nice to have if you're interested in getting a skin for the 60 TP, alongside the Panzernacker Auto, which is at a 50% discount as well. And if I don't already have it, which I'm not entirely sure that I do, I will be picking this one up because it's an auto-loading Jagdpanther, which is nice. It's the tier 7 tank destroyer, but with an autoloader at tier 8, I believe. So it should be a pretty interesting one to try out, give it a go, and see whether or not it's actually a ton of fun. I don't think it's going to be a super competitive vehicle, but it probably will be a pretty fun one to roll around with the Jagdpanther with an autoloader. But either way, that is it. And then the tank of the month is the Senlac. This is probably the least favourite tank of the month that I've seen. The Senlac is pretty mediocre, it's nothing special, but maybe you guys want to actually try it out. We have done a video on it not too long ago, so you should be able to find that on the channel where we tried out the Senlac. It ended up with some pretty good games, but it wasn't anything special for sure. And then there's a couple of reminders here. The original 3 challenge. So this is the challenge whereby you could earn a load of points and then go for unrealistic prizes that require like hundreds of points that I'm not even close to getting. Yeah, up to 1,000 points I think for some of them, where you could pick a free premium tank. Now these were so unbelievably priced that I'm nowhere near. I'm not even close, and I literally play this game for you guys and make content on it. So if you're nowhere near completing any of the tanks and actually getting any of the tanks, don't be surprised. I am not either. But the original 3 challenge, it is coming to an end on Tuesday, so if you have got any points, make sure to just pick the item in the season challenges tab and be able to pick the ones that you want given the amount of points that you've earned before Tuesday. So just make sure that you do it. You're gonna make sure that you get as many of the rewards, otherwise you won't get anything. So all of those points that you've got eventually over the time of this event, you won't be able to use them. So yeah. It's a pain. The next thing is reminder number 2. So the June event is also complete. So if you want to actually pick up your HMH Huntsman Centurion and you haven't played in the last like a week or 2 weeks, make sure that you do jump in and pick it up for the HMH Huntsman Centurion, which everyone got for free, which is a brilliant vehicle. And we did a video on it as well recently, looking at what that tank can do. And you can also be able to buy the Wind of Arrakis at a 45% discount. You need to log in by the 2nd of April if you want to get that. So make sure that you do it if you're interested in getting the HMH Huntsman Centurion for free or picking up the Wind of Arrakis for a 45% discount in the store based on the typical gold value of the tank. And yeah, that is basically it for this week's news. If you have any questions or queries, let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you want to take out a look at any of the vehicles that we've discussed today, including the STA2, including the Huntsman Centurion, the Wind of Arrakis, all of these vehicles, you can find the kind of tanks on the actual channel page and you can look through the videos. We've recently done them, so it shouldn't be too difficult to find them, or just type in what console and then the tank name and you should come up as well with either my videos or Ricky's or any of the console community contributors that should have done videos on the tank. So if you're interested in seeing any of those before you buy or before you spend your time doing it, then have a look at those. But otherwise, there'll be a couple of videos like those ones that are on screen that should help you to find out what those tanks are all about right now. And I will see you in the next one. Have a great rest of the day and a great Easter. Goodbye.